Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my knives. And first I want to say a thing or two about knives in general. First of all, a knife is not, contrary to a popular misconception, a knife is not a defensive weapon. A knife is pretty bad as a defensive weapon. Pretty much the extent of your defensive capabilities with a knife is slashing at somebody while they are striking you, which leaves you open to being struck. And if they have a knife themselves, leaves you open to being stabbed or cut. A knife can be a deterrent from a physical confrontation, so somebody might not come at you if they see that you have a knife and they fear that you might use it. But that's about the extent of the defensive capabilities of a knife. Secondly, I want to say that every responsible person, especially every responsible adult, should have a knife on them at all times when it's legal and reasonable to have one. When is it reasonable to have one on you? Pretty much always. And you should be very familiar with the laws in your jurisdiction. For example, in my home state of North Carolina, it is legal to carry most knives on you. I think there may be some sketchy legal definitions with some certain knives. Also, be careful about concealed weapons. For most jurisdictions, as far as I know, a concealed weapons permit applies to all weapons. I'm not sure about that actually, so don't take my word for it. But in my home state of North Carolina, I know that a knife, you can't carry a knife concealed without a permit. And the definition of concealed is not very clear. For example, with a pocket knife that has a pocket clip, can you wear it with the knife on the inside and the clip on the outside? The law doesn't state that clearly whether that is an acceptable non-concealed carrying of a knife. Also, if someone is standing, for example, on my left, and I have it on my right hip, because that's where I carry it, on my right hip, then it is concealed to them. So, turning away from somebody to use your body to conceal the weapon is considered concealing the weapon. So you want to be careful about those things. But every responsible adult should have a knife on them as often as possible. And again, it's not a defensive weapon. This is just because you never know when a knife is going to come in handy. You know, you can use a knife for all kinds of things. It comes in a lot more handy than you might think if you don't carry one. And I'm going to explain a little bit of that with my pocket knife. Now, this is a CRKT. That stands for Columbia River Knife and Tool. This is a CRKT Crawford Kasper. And there are other reviews of the Crawford Kasper. I'm not sure if it's focusing there for you. There are other reviews of this knife on YouTube that you can go look at. And I'm not going to get into all the technical stuff about the type of steel and all that, mainly because I couldn't actually find that on the internet. However, I will say it has pretty good edge retention. It is sharp now, and I haven't sharpened it in a long time. And like I said, it gets put to use. It comes in handy a lot more than you would realize. The reason I say that is a knife is much more than a knife. A knife is all kinds of tools. And before I get into that, actually, I want to talk about the reason that I like this particular knife so much. This knife, of course, it is a flip-open concealed blade pocket knife. and it fits very nicely into your pocket. This is about 5 inches, about 5 inches total. My middle finger is about 4 inches long. That's about 5 inches. And the blade itself, from the serrations to the tip, is just under 4 inches. And of course it locks with this little mechanism here. I don't know if you can see that. You push it to the side to fold it. When you open it, it snaps over. And then you have this little thing back here, which locks that mechanism. So you slide it forward, and let me see if I can get the lighting again. This little thing will not move over when this is slid forward, so that your knife will not fold in accidentally for any reason. And it's right there where the thumb is. There's a little tactical ridging right there for your thumb to grip. This thing itself, the little mechanism, is ridged so that your index finger can grip it. There's a little groove there for your finger to fit in. And that's one of the things that I really like about this knife, is that it feels very natural, very comfortable to hold. It's a pretty good width of the handle and pretty good thickness, so that my fingers wrap around it pretty nicely. I have average sized hands. I don't know what an average sized hand is, but I think mine is average size. And it just feels nice. Your thumb goes real nicely on that nice thick back edge of the knife, the blade itself, which is good for a lot of times when people are cutting with kitchen knives. They want to use their index finger, which puts a lot of strain on the wrist. You can see, maybe you can't, I don't know, but it puts strain on these tendons, and it can actually get to become painful to chop things when you're putting that strain on your index finger. You want to use the thumb, and this knife is designed to put your thumb right there, and that's really nice. One feature this knife does not have is a way to open it quickly. Now, I'm not talking about a button, because in my state of North Carolina, a button activated or a spring activated or any kind of ballistic opening knife is illegal to carry on your person. But there are knives that have like a piece back here that attaches to the blade that you pull it down and it opens it up real quick and easy. But with some practice, I've gotten pretty good at just opening and closing it. Closing is a little more difficult, but it's less important. Oh, also, as far as the grip, the pocket clip itself is bent in just the right place for my middle finger. So, that's nice. So if you want to hold it like that, because there are all kinds of ways that you can hold this knife, and all kinds of ways that you will find yourself holding a knife if you use it very much for very many things, because like I said, it comes in handy. You can use it as a screwdriver, and I have used it for that purpose. You can hold it like this, you can hold it back here, you can even hold it like a pencil. That does come in handy. You can hold it back here like a pencil almost. You can choke up on the grip, and your finger is right there just under the serrations. Those serrations don't really hurt unless you're putting much pressure, and you can use a knife like that, which again comes in handy if you want to sharpen a stick or something, because the serrations back here make it difficult to sharpen something, and they don't come in handy, to be honest. I haven't really used them ever. But this is an eating utensil, this is a screwdriver, this is a hammer. I use that a lot as a hammer, because you hold it like that, and you just just like that. You can hold it like that if you want to use a smaller focus point, just like that. Let's see, what else is it? It is a lever. I use this to open soda cans because I keep my nails trimmed pretty short because I do dirty work, which makes it difficult for me to lift the tab without like getting the edge of my finger under there, which is uncomfortable. So I use this, just pull it out of my strap and just flip it open, lift up that tab, and then use my finger to do the rest. So a knife is very handy, and you can use it for all kinds of things. The only tool that I have tried to use this as that it didn't work as was pliers, and that's because I didn't want to damage the blade itself. But I guess if you didn't care about that and you didn't have something very big that you needed to use pliers on, you could sort of get it like that and then, use the tension from just pulling it closed to twist, or even use that small little gap right there. I guess it also right there has a hole if you wanted to put a cord through there and carry it on a string. I don't know. This is a good knife. I like this knife. I got it from my stepdad several years ago. I've been carrying it. I carried it in high school, and I actually lost it, and then found it, and then lost it, and then found it again. And now I just carry it every day, so I never lose it. One thing is, whenever I pull this knife out, it looks pretty beefy, and it's black and it's tactical. It's black and it's tactical. So people say, why do you got such a big knife on you? And I'm like, well, it's only 4 inches long, and the actual blade itself, minus the serrations, is only 2 inches. But it is a sturdy knife. It is sturdy, it is durable, it has good edge retention. It's a nice knife. I don't know why people get freaked out and say, why do you got such a big knife? Because it is beefy looking. But anyway, enough about this knife. I could rave about this knife all day. Oh, it also has a little magnet in the back here that holds it closed. Watch. It'll sort of snap in. Right there, it snapped. So yeah. Anyway. A little hex key there does get loose over time, but that's easy to fix with an Allen wrench. So, enough about the Crawford Kasper. Again, great knife. Now, I want to talk about my other knife, which I don't use very much because it is a bayonet. And this is a good 7 or 8 inch, maybe 8 or 9 inch blade. It's got a little, there's like an Italian or French word that starts with an R that this part of the metal is called, where it's not actually the blade. I forget what it's called, but it's a pretty straightforward bayonet. This is an exclusively combat designed knife, so it doesn't come in handy, like I said, because I don't find myself in knife fights all that often. Apparently that's a thing kids do these days, is they knife fight. But it's nice, it's got a groove there. It is just regular Chinese stainless steel. I got it at a truck stop. It was only $25. But it's a cool looking knife, and it's got a good grip. You can attach it to a rifle, of course, if you want. And it is sharp, but then again, I keep it in the sheath in the back of my car all the time. So it's not really going to get dull because it doesn't even see weather damage like this knife does. But so those are my two knives, and just a little explanation about them and all the reasons that you should carry a knife. You know, maybe something like this, or there are other knives. One thing I wanted to say about the bayonet is, if you look back here, even though it's a cheap Chinese knife, it is full tang. You can see it is full tang, and you never ever want to have a fixed blade knife that is not full tang. There's absolutely no reason for it. Also, it's got a pretty sturdy blade. It's got like no flex on it, which is pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, never get a fixed blade knife or anything else that is not full tang. You want to be absolutely certain that it is full tang, or it will fall apart on you. It is not going to be a reliable knife. A couple more things I want to say about knives. You want to take good care of them, so that means make sure the edge is sharpened. Don't leave the edge in water or in the dirt. Don't leave it dirty. And keep it put away when it's not being used. You know, this also has a good weight to it. You know, I've been carrying this thing forever, so I have a lot of good things to say about it. What else did I want to say about knives? Yes, again, don't use a knife as a defensive weapon, because it is not a defensive weapon. If you want a defensive melee weapon, I would strongly advise pepper spray. Do not get bear spray. Actually, that's another common misconception, is that bear spray or bear mace is more potent than pepper spray. They have very different purposes. Bear spray is to deter a bear from coming towards you. So you spray a little of this very low potency. It's pepper spray, but it's very low potency, because it basically will make the bear start sneezing, and it'll want to walk away from you because you have irritated it, but you haven't angered it. Whereas with pepper spray, you're very likely to anger the bear, and the bear is more likely to just maul you because it thinks that you are attacking. You are aggressing the bear. Pepper spray is designed to incapacitate an attacker. And with a bear, it's more than likely just going to make it angry. Or you do incapacitate the bear, and then you've just harmed the wildlife for no reason. So, pepper spray is for human attackers who are trying to hurt you. You want to incapacitate them, and that is what pepper spray is for. Another, if you don't want to use pepper spray, then I guess a sword is a decent defensive melee weapon, as defensive melee weapons go. But I would go with pepper spray because it is ranged. You can spray up to like several feet away with pepper spray, and you can't really do that with the sword. Again, a knife is not a defensive weapon. I have heard people say, "Oh, I carry a knife for protection." Like, okay, yeah, you're not going to protect yourself with a knife. You know, a knife is an offensive weapon. You know, it's designed for that. If you're going to use it in combat, you're going to be slashing, stabbing. You know, maybe you go reverse grip, and I'm not a knife fighter, so I don't know how you maneuver a knife in combat. But the knife is for offense. which means that you can use it in a fight to defend yourself. But again, for any defensive movements, it requires them to be coming at you. For the most part, you're going to be going at them, and at that point, it becomes a two-way street in the fight. So, is there anything else I want to say about knives? Be safe, be responsible, of course. I use my knife as a tool. My knife is not a weapon. Okay, that's the thing that irritates me when people say, "Why do you got a knife?" I'm like, well, you see a knife, I see a screwdriver, a hammer, a can opener, an eating utensil, a lever, and I use it to trim my cuticles sometimes. You'll just see me like scraping at my cuticles or whatever. A knife is all kinds of things. I even use it as a toothpick, because it's just so handy. Oh yeah, wash your knife. Just send it through the dishwasher and then dry it. Because if you're going to be using it as an eating utensil or a toothpick, you definitely want it to be clean. So wash it after you do dirty work. What else do I want to say about knives? Did I say be responsible? Yeah, what I wanted to say about be responsible is a knife is a tool. First and foremost, it is the most basic tool that anybody can have. It's the most basic tool that anybody can have. It is the first tool that everybody should have. And you don't want to, be an idiot about it. Like, I don't know, sometimes somebody will, pull out a knife and as a joke, and they're trying to act tough with their little pocket knife or something. I mean, even a Swiss Army knife is better than nothing. But, you don't want to be an idiot with your knife. Because, as I said, it is a tool. It is definitely a tool above all else. And you want to treat it and respect it as such. And, yeah, that's all I can say. That's a wrap. Thanks for watching.